Part 1. The Man in the Tree. In Chapter 1, Signum Dinios Kol arrives at a wealthy estate to investigate a mysterious death. Greeted by Princeps Soterios, he learns the investigator he serves has not come, leaving him to assess the scene alone. The body belongs to Commander Taqtasa Blas, an engineer who was found in a gruesome state, trees having erupted from his body within minutes. The household staff, including frightened servants and a dismissive housekeeper, provide limited insight. Blas had complained of chest pain before collapsing, but no one witnessed anything unusual before his death. The presence of a dying Kerpis shroom and unexplained mold raises questions, while Blas's personal belongings, including a secretive book, hint at possible clues. Despite the challenges, Dinios methodically investigates, engraving every detail into memory. Oterios acknowledges his handling of the case, but questions the investigator's absence. Dinios, uneasy with his role, presses on, determined to uncover the truth. In Chapter 2, Dinios Kol navigates the chaotic Daretana canton before reaching the secluded home of his master, Immunis Ana Dolabra, the Iudex investigator. He finds her interrogating a terrified engineering captain about ancient ruins, a pattern in her eccentric, relentless pursuit of knowledge. After freeing the captain, he confronts Ana about her methods, but she remains dismissive. Their conversation reveals her reliance on extreme isolation, sensory deprivation, and obsessive information gathering. She pressures Dinios to procure illegal mood-altering graphs, which he refuses. When he finally mentions the grotesque death of Commander Blas, trees erupting from within his body, Ana's demeanor shifts. Fascinated by the case, she orders Dinios to recount every detail he has memorized. He retrieves his lye-scented vial to trigger his engraver's recall, preparing to relay all the evidence, knowing Ana's unconventional but brilliant mind will analyze it in ways he cannot. In Chapter 3, Dinios recounts his investigation to Ana using his engraver's memory, detailing everything he saw and heard at the crime scene. Ana, fascinated by the description of the strange plant that grew from Commander Blas's body, connects it to a deadly contagion from the Oipat canton, a suffused grass called dappleglass that grew uncontrollably and even invaded living tissue. She concludes that Blas was likely assassinated with the help of someone in the Haza estate. Ana orders Dinios to summon 3 key witnesses, Gennadios, the housekeeper, Uxos, the groundskeeper, and the oldest servant girl, for interrogation. She instructs him to bring his engraver's bonds and a weapon. Before Dinios leaves, Ana's homemade seismic instrument detects faint tremors. She confirms they are from a massive leviathan stirring deep beneath the ocean, moving toward the coast, a chilling reminder of the Empire's constant battle against the threats beyond the seawalls. In Chapter 4, Dinios visits the post station to send his monthly pay home. Postmaster Stephanos, a former legionnaire, warns him to take the back roads as Captain Thalamus from the Apotheticals has been asking about him. Concerned, Dinios reflects on the Empire's constant battle against the Leviathans and his goal of moving his family to safety. Taking the back way home, he is ambushed outside his quarters by Thalamus, who berates him for his investigation at the Haza estate, revealing that complaints have been filed against him. Thalamus pressures Dinios to share details of the case, but Dinios refuses, citing Iudex policy. Thalamus then threatens to expose him, claiming his test scores were too perfect to be real. As Thalamus departs, Dinios realizes the captain may be working for the Hazas, raising the question of how many other officials are involved. Exhausted, he steels himself for what lies ahead. In Chapter 5, Dinios escorts 3 reluctant witnesses, Gennadios, Ephanes, and Uxos, to Ana's house for questioning. Ana quickly establishes that Commander Blas had secret dealings with the powerful Haza family, likely involving political favors in exchange for entertainment and women. Under pressure, Gennadios admits to keeping records of Blas's visits, but denies knowledge of his murder. Ana then turns to Uxos, accusing him of aiding an assassin by replacing a tainted fern paper door. Uxos panics and attacks Ana, but Dinios subdues him. Interrogated, Uxos confesses that an unknown masked figure hired him to help an assassin infiltrate the estate. Ana deduces that Blas was poisoned via the bath with dappleglass, a deadly plant that once destroyed an entire canton. She orders Dinios to track Blas's secretary and the apoths to inspect the pipes. The chapter ends with Ana musing on the Empire's failures and the looming threat of the Leviathans. In Chapter 6, Dinios retrieves a red leather-bound record book from Gennadios containing coded dates of Commander Blas's visits. Frustrated, she dismisses him after handing it over. Outside, a team of apoths is investigating the house, clad in protective gear. Princeps Soterios confirms they found a small slip of dapple glass in the drains, precisely as Ana suspected. However, this strain appears altered. It releases deadly spores only when exposed to hot water, then grows exclusively within living tissue, making it a targeted biological weapon. If it had spread naturally, the entire household would have been infected. Soterios warns Dinios that someone has weaponized a contagion, advising caution with baths. As Dinios departs, he observes the groundskeeper's hut, its fern paper walls blackened and rotting, indicating contamination. He engraves the disturbing sight into his memory, adding to the growing horrors of the case. Part 2. The Breach. In Chapter 7, Dinios spends 13 stagnant days enduring the oppressive humidity of the wet season. The only development comes when he receives a letter from Commander Blas's secretary, Rona Aristan. She expresses shock at his murder, but claims ignorance about his reasons for visiting Daretana. Due to the coming wet season, she is unable to leave Talakantan, though she provides Blas's schedule for the past 4 months. Ana cross-references it with Gennadios' records and confirms the assassin must be in Taligra, a major city 60 miles south, where Blas had been stationed for months. She deduces the killer had to be someone close enough to track his movements. Frustrated by the complications, Ana drafts a letter to the Udex office in Tala, requesting permission to investigate. She warns Dinios that the murder is far from solved, and given the chaos of the wet season, they may not receive a response for months. In Chapter 8, Dinios wakes to the sound of bombard fire, realizing a breach has occurred. He rushes to the earthworks with other sublimes and soldiers, witnessing a beacon confirming a Leviathan has broken through the sea walls. Chaos erupts as orders are given. Engineering and Legion officers must leave for Taligra immediately, while others prepare Daretana for possible evacuation. Dinios is ordered by Captain Thalamus to ensure Ana is ready. At her house, Ana's quake instrument confirms the Leviathan has retreated, likely drawn back to the sea walls by the Legion's tactics. The next day, messengers arrive, confirming the Leviathan has been killed, but it created a breach over a league wide. Commander Prefecto Desmivashta and her second, Captain Kefius Strovi, arrive to brief Ana. They reveal the breach was worsened by a destabilization from within the walls. Ana deduces multiple people were poisoned with the same contagion that killed Blas, leading to structural collapse, confirming a coordinated attack. In Chapter 9, Vashta confirms that 10 engineers, including 2 senior officers, were killed by the Dappleglass contagion, triggering the collapse that led to the breach. The deaths occurred almost simultaneously, but no common exposure point has been found, only that all victims were in the engineering islet. This suggests a targeted attack meant to sabotage the Empire's defenses. Vashta urges Ana to investigate, believing her experience with Blas's murder makes her uniquely suited to uncovering the truth. With the breach leaving the canton vulnerable to further Titan attacks, finding the culprit is a priority. A carriage is already on its way to transport Ana and Din to Taligra. Ana agrees, recognizing that the situation demands urgency. Din, however, silently dreads the journey, knowing they are stepping into something far more dangerous than a single assassination. Their work in Taligra may determine the survival of the Empire's outer rim. In Chapter 10, Din and Ana travel by carriage to Taligra, enduring a rough, uncomfortable journey. Along the way, Ana fixates on the Empire's infrastructure, particularly the engineering teams that maintain the roads. Din studies maps and engraves lists of engineering officers in his memory. As they near the coast, Din glimpses the massive sea walls, towering structures lined with bombards, some even on rails for repositioning. Ana explains that the Leviathans, some taller than the walls, have been growing larger each wet season, though the Empire avoids quantifying this fact to prevent panic. Approaching Taligra, they pass through fields crowded with legionnaires, engineers, and enormous augmented workers. The city itself is built for utility, lined with fortifications and heavy artillery. The tremors from Leviathan movements shape its architecture. As they enter through the colossal gates, Ana, despite her usual confidence, admits that navigating a crisis of this scale is entirely new territory for her. In Chapter 11, Din and Ana arrive in Taligra and head to the Trifecta, where they meet key figures involved in the investigation. Ana reunites with investigator Uhad, an engraver like Din, and meets Captain Tazi Miljan, a hardened war veteran assisting in the case. They are also introduced to engineering Immunis Callista and Apoth Immunis Nusis, both critical to the inquiry. During the briefing, Uhad confirms that 10 engineers died from the Dappleglass contagion, causing a structural collapse that led to the breach. However, the victims had no clear overlap in their movements, making it difficult to pinpoint where they were poisoned. Ana requests detailed records of the dead's past living arrangements, suspecting personal connections. Notably, when Blas's illicit activities are mentioned, the group reacts strangely, neither surprised nor dismissive, suggesting they already knew. Ana grows suspicious of their reluctance and secretly tasks Din with summoning Blas's secretary, believing she holds crucial undisclosed information. In Chapter 12, Din visits Immunis Nusis for his required immunity grafts before accompanying Miljan on the investigation. Nusis, a cheerful but unsettling apoth, prepares a mixture of 4 pellets, blue, white, yellow, and brown, combined with milk to aid digestion. She warns Din to check for adverse reactions and hints at the psychological toll Taligra takes on engravers. Din drinks the concoction and leaves. Back in his quarters, he unpacks his belongings and attempts to ground himself in the unfamiliar setting. While shaving, he recalls his initiation as an engraver, enduring 4 days of painful hallucinations as his mind was reforged. He reflects on his ability to retain perfect memories, including the scars from his training. A faint quake reverberates through the city, but no alarms follow. Din looks eastward, toward the sea walls, knowing that if the deaths continue, he may soon see the warning flares that signal disaster. Part 3. 3 Keys and 10 Dead Engineers. In Chapter 13, Din accompanies Captain Miljan through the crowded streets of Taligra, heading east to the forward engineering quarters. Along the way, Din observes the gentry watching from balconies, adorned in finery, seeking to court favor with rising military officers. Miljan explains that noble families must serve at the sea walls to be eligible for Senate positions, and the gentry are there to cultivate alliances. As they travel through the plains of the Titan's path, Miljan warns Din about mutineers hiding in the ditches, preying on travelers. Upon arrival, they split up to interview individuals connected to the deceased engineers. Din's first interview is with Princeps Ana Dolabra, a mediker who lost her hand in the breach. She reveals that her lover, Signum Misik Jilki, had attended secret meetings in Taligra about the weakening walls. After these meetings, Jilki acted withdrawn and smelled of Satwine. Toparak fears something was being hidden from the public. In Chapter 14, Din interviews 4 more individuals and discovers that 5 of the 10 dead engineers visited Taligra on the same night, 8 days before the breach. Their stated reasons, such as checking on injured comrades or arranging shipments, seem false. Captain Miljan learns that another engineer, Signum Ginkless Love, had supposedly not been in Taligra, contradicting the pattern. However, Din catches her lover, Signum Vardas, in a lie. Love had secretly attended the same meetings as the others, likely connected to Commander Blas. Vardas reveals Love regularly met with 3 others, Vanduo, Lapfer, and Anapa, Captain Kiz Jilgalgan, who is not among the dead. Searching Love and Jilki's quarters, Din and Miljan find hidden bronze boxes containing identical reagents keys, suggesting access to a highly secure location. Din also connects the scent on Jilki's scarf to the strange oil found at Blas's murder scene, deepening the mystery. In Chapter 15, Din and Miljan ride back to Taligra, with Miljan reflecting on how the city has changed from a military stronghold to one entangled in politics and secrets. He warns Din to learn how to fight, hinting at the suspicious death of Ana's previous assistant. As they ride, Din finally sees the carcass of the Leviathan, a massive, hill-sized corpse covered in strange, vibrant plant life, transformed by its blood. The creature's vast ribcage and chitinous limbs stretch across the landscape, revealing the sheer scale of the recent attack. Back in Taligra, Miljan gives Din half of a shoot straw pipe as a reward for the day's work before they part ways. Instead of heading straight to Ana, Din sneaks through the city as curfew approaches, determined to find Rona Aristan, Commander Blas's longtime secretary. With her knowledge of Blas's movements, she may hold the key to unraveling the engineers' secret meetings. In Chapter 16, Din arrives at Rona Aristan's home to question her, only to find the house dark and abandoned. Suspecting something is wrong, he picks the lock and enters, immediately hit by the overwhelming stench of decay. The house has been ransacked, and in the bedroom he finds a woman's decomposing body, likely Aristan, killed by a small, precise wound at the base of her skull. Investigating further, Din discovers a hidden key behind a painting of Commander Blas. Using Aristan's spyglass, he spots a nearby house marked with a blue cloth, suggesting a signal. He sneaks inside and finds a locked chest, which he picks open. Inside, he discovers a fortune. 7,000 Imperial talents, Aristan's wall pass for the third ring, and another reagent's key. Confused by the implications, he takes the valuables, locks the house behind him, and rushes back to the Trinity before curfew falls. In Chapter 17, after finishing his report, Din faces Ana's barrage of questions and revelations about the investigation. Ana is astounded by the secret meetings, the missing survivor, the murdered secretary, the sack of silver coins, and the multiple reagents keys discovered. She demands to know more about Din's lockpicking skills, implying they are crucial for uncovering hidden evidence. Ana then focuses on Captain Kiz Yolgalgan, suspecting that she might be the lone surviving member of the secret meetings, and potentially the poisoner behind the engineers' deaths. She instructs Din to contact Nusis for Apoth records on Yolgalgan's alterations, and to examine the reagents' keys to determine which highly warded portal they unlock. Furthermore, Ana devises a plan to plant evidence by attaching the wall pass and money to Rona Aristan's corpse, thereby testing whether fellow investigators will trace the funds. Frustrated by potential internal corruption and ineptitude, she vows to confront higher authorities if necessary and orders Din to rest for now. In Chapter 18, Din plants the 7,000 talents and wall pass beneath a floorboard in Rona Aristan's house, ensuring Miljan and Uhad will find them. He then delivers a reagent's key to Nusis requesting an analysis. She notes its poor craftsmanship but agrees to test it. Din also asks about Captain Kiz Yolgalgan, and Nusis reveals that Yolgalgan's entire cohort died in the breach except for her. Missing for weeks, she disappeared just before Commander Blas's assassination and the engineers' deaths. Yolgalgan was a sublime, highly intelligent but prone to fits of rage, paranoia, and anxiety. Most critically, she was an Oipati, one of the few survivors of the canton consumed by Dappleglass. Nusis recounts her own time in Oipat, where she saw people overrun by the contagion. She implies that Yolgalgan, with her tragic history and missing status, may be responsible for the current outbreak of Dappleglass. In Chapter 19, Din returns to the Udex Tower and encounters Miljan, who rushes off after discovering Rona Aristan's body. Din finds Ana discussing fern paper orders with Captain Strovi, who has spent hours in her company. Strovi reveals that the Legion is developing a powerful new bombard to kill leviathans. Din shares what he learned about Captain Kiz Yolgalgan, an Oipati survivor with a history of rage and paranoia, strengthening their suspicion that she is behind the engineers' deaths. Ana examines the fern paper orders and identifies Jonas Suberek, a miller, who received an unusually large order 7 days before the breach but has since disappeared. She believes the location of this order is where the engineers were poisoned. She instructs Strovi to escort Din to investigate Suberek's mill. Meanwhile, Ana's test of their colleagues, planting money and a wall pass, yields no suspicious behavior, but she still feels something is wrong. She warns Din to stay on guard. In Chapter 20, Din and Captain Strovi navigate the empty, heavily patrolled streets of Taligra under curfew, heading toward Jonas Suberek's mill. Along the way, Strovi explains the heightened patrols due to deserters from the sea walls. They stop at a Legion station for tea infused with clarherb and sotwine, which sharpens Din's focus. As they reach the mill, they find the stable gate ajar and no animals inside, with recent bootprints in the mud. Din smells the overwhelming stench of decay from inside the mill. Before they can react, 5 armed men emerge from the darkness and attack. Strovi defends himself while Din instinctively falls into a trance-like state, recalling his training with unnatural precision. He disarms, wounds, and kills multiple attackers, all deserters in Legion uniforms. The fight ends with Strovi finishing the last man. Stunned by Din's skill, Strovi rushes to call a Legion patrol, leaving Din alone with the dead. In Chapter 21, Din, shaken from his first real fight, follows Captain Strovi into Jonas Suberek's abandoned mill, which reeks of rot. Strovi confirms that the Legion deserters who had broken in mentioned something disturbing in the basement. He He orders Din to investigate while the rest of the investigation team is called in. Still covered in blood, Din searches the mill but finds no records or documents. He finally descends into the basement, pushing through a swarm of black flies, and discovers a seated corpse. Holding up his lantern, he confirms the dead man is likely Jonas Suberek, the missing miller. At the base of Suberek's skull is a tiny, dark hole, the same wound as Rona Aristan. Miljan arrives and, upon hearing the details, immediately connects the two murders. He also questions Din's sudden combat ability, intrigued by how he remembered his training. As the full investigation team arrives, Miljan urges Din to get out before the questioning begins. In Chapter 22, the investigation team, led by Uhad, confirms they are dealing with two killers, one using dappleglass and another executing victims with a precise spike to the skull. Nusis examines Suberek's body and confirms the clean, deep puncture, suggesting an augmented killer of smaller stature. Ana theorizes that Suberek was killed to erase evidence of where the poisoned fern paper was sent. Ana and Din search the mill for records but find none. Using an imprinting technique, Ana recovers Suberek's final written directions, leading to the wealthy gentry district of Taligra. Din, Miljan, and Strovi follow the trail, testing the engineer's reagents key at various estates. It finally opens the gate to the Hazas estate, the same powerful family linked to Blas's corruption. Realizing Ana had likely deduced this from the start, Din mutters, "She knew," as they prepare to confront the true scope of the conspiracy. In Chapter 23, Din reports his findings about the engineer's secret meetings at the Hazas estate, shocking the investigation team. Uhad, Nusis, and Callista react with visible distress, revealing that they had attended a party at the Hazas on the same night, 8 days before the breach. Callista panics, fearing she may have been poisoned, but Nusis reassures her that if she had, she would already be dead. Ana presses for details, demanding to know how many people were at the event and whether the engineers were seen. Uhad insists they would have noticed them, but Ana challenges this, suggesting the victims could have used false names. She emphasizes that the team, now confirmed as witnesses to both the poisoning and the events leading to the seawall breach, can no longer investigate themselves. Realizing the gravity of the situation, Ana orders Miljan and Strovi to summon Commander Prefecto Vashta for direct intervention. In Chapter 24, Commander Prefecto Vashta is briefed on the investigation, visibly aging as Ana reveals the poisoning likely took place at the Hazas estate during a party. Vashta is furious, recognizing the implications. The entire investigation team, except for Miljan, is now compromised as potential witnesses. She emphasizes the Empire's need for stability, especially with a Leviathan attack imminent. Despite her frustration, Vashta appoints Ana as lead investigator, ordering immediate interrogations of Uhad, Nusis, and Callista. When Ana reveals they found a second reagents key at Rona Aristan's safe house, Vashta is further exasperated, but orders them to determine what it unlocks. She reluctantly grants permission to inspect the Hazas estate, but warns that their wealth and influence make them untouchable. Before plans proceed, Fayazi Haza arrives unexpectedly, stunning Vashta and the team. She claims her father, Kegi Haza, died 13 days ago, on the same night as the engineers, and insists it was murder, seeking their help in finding the killer. Ana mutters in disbelief, sensing deeper manipulation at play. Part 4, Hell and the Gentry. In Chapter 25, Fayazi Haza formally reports her father's death as murder, claiming she only realized it was suspicious after learning of the engineers' similar deaths. She explains that Kegi Haza died from a plant-like contagion that emerged from his chest, prompting their estate to go into containment. She asserts that they didn't report it earlier due to isolation, the breach, and fear of panic. However, Ana is skeptical, noting Fayazi burned her father's body immediately and seems ignorant of key facts. Ana aggressively questions Fayazi about the engineer's presence at the Haza estate and the reagents keys they possessed. Fayazi denies knowledge, suggesting they were stolen. Vashta, furious at Ana's approach, scolds her but allows the investigation to proceed. However, only Din is permitted entry. Ana warns Din that Fayazi may try to manipulate or seduce him. His mission? Locate the Haza Scribehawks to uncover communications related to Blas's murder and the engineer's poisoning. In Chapter 26, Din travels to the Haza estate in Fayazi's carriage, flanked by her imposing guards and 2 sublimes. Fayazi allows Din to question her about the day before her father's death, revealing that a grand party had been held with 100 doubtful attendees, including high-ranking officers but supposedly no engineers. Kegi Haza, frail and elderly, was carried in on a palanquin, spoke only to select guests, and took his usual steam bath after the event before retiring. Din presses Fayazi about suspicious events, and her engraver mentions a minor fire at 2 p.m. that briefly disrupted the party. This incident delayed an attendee count, leading Fayazi to realize it may have provided cover for poisoning. She displays a rare moment of genuine grief, but quickly regains composure. As they arrive at the estate, she cryptically suggests that both she and Din are bound by forces beyond their control, hinting at deeper intrigues. In Chapter 27, Din arrives at the Haza estate, awed by its beauty and scale. Fayazi leads him inside, where he notes fine architecture and a massive Leviathan claw suspended above the entrance. Choosing caution, he first asks to see Kegi Haza's death site. In Kegi's chamber, Din finds a massive column of dapple glass sprouting from the floor and ceiling, confirming the same cause of death as Commander Blas. He also notices silver ewers, possibly containing a delivery method for the poison. Fayazi describes how her father died, writhing in agony as the growth consumed him. Examining the bathing house, Din notes freshly replaced fern paper panels. Suspicious, he investigates the rooftop water tank and finds remnants of the poisoned blade of grass inside. He deduces that the poisoner used the party's fire incident as a diversion to access the servants' passageway. Finally, he convinces Fayazi to grant him 5 minutes in the Haza rookery, suspecting the poison may have been delivered by a scribe hawk. In Chapter 28, Din enters the Haza estate's rookery, searching for evidence in Kegi Haza's correspondence. Fayazi's engraver explains how the scribe hawks operate in pairs, traveling between fixed destinations. Din realizes that if both birds in a pair are missing, a message has been sent. If both are present, a message was received. Checking the cubbies, Din finds multiple missing birds, indicating recent messages, but the labels on the cubbies are written in Sazi, a language he cannot read or engrave in his memory. To compensate, he traces the letters with his finger, hoping to recall the movements later. After exiting the rookery, Fayazi offers Din food, but he refuses per Ana's warning. He notices a fleeting expression of fear on her face, suggesting she is afraid of something. As he leaves to inspect the walls, he remains unsettled, suspecting that Fayazi is hiding something critical. In Chapter 29, Din inspects the Haza estate's walls, searching for signs of how the poisoner entered. The high, fret-veined walls seem impenetrable, but he discovers a sluice gate where the estate's stream flows through, suggesting a possible access point. At the eastern gate, he notices overturned stones and a hidden, grass-covered hole, but finds nothing inside. As night falls, Fayazi summons Din to speak privately. On his way, he overhears her arguing with someone, mentioning a third and her reluctance to lead. In their meeting, Fayazi tries to manipulate Din, offering wealth, comfort, and even a court dancer altered with pheromonic grafts to seduce him. Fighting the overwhelming attraction, he realizes the dancer's scent matches the oils found in Commander Blas's quarters and on one of the dead engineers. Calling out Fayazi's lies, Din is forcibly ejected. As he leaves, he sees Fayazi terrified, pulled away by her sublimes. Outside, Captain Miljan and legionnaires await him. In Chapter 30, Din recounts his visit to the Haza estate to Ana and Miljan, detailing Fayazi's fear, the secretive conversation he overheard, and her desperate questioning about what Ana knew. Ana deduces that Fayazi is not in control but a puppet, following orders from her powerful family while trying to uncover secrets she was never trusted with. Din reveals his investigation into the Haza's scribehawks, tracing their messages to 4 engineering and a pathetical headquarters in different cantons, 2 of which Blas's secretary had visited. The Hazas also received a message from their family's prime hall, contradicting their claim that no letters had arrived since Kegi's death. Ana theorizes that Yolgalgan infiltrated the estate by hiding in a hole near the walls before sneaking into the servants' passageways using enhanced night vision. Ana orders Miljan to investigate Legion personnel with strength enhancements, while she and Din prepare to question the surviving engineers about the party. In Chapter 31, Ana and Din interrogate multiple witnesses about the Haza party, seeking connections between Kegi Haza, Commander Blas, and the canton of Oypat. Callista reveals she attended the party as Commander Hovannes' guest and later contacted him, indirectly alerting the Hazas to the investigation. She describes the event as a grand affair, with mood-altering fumes, elaborate feasts, and a fire that left a strange smell like goat's urine, later identified as black perch mushrooms, a highly flammable substance. She recalls no strangers at the party, but notes that Nusis rejected advances, claiming she was bound to another. Uhad, with his extreme memory recall, provides an overwhelming flood of details but no clear revelations. In Chapter 32, Ana, Din, and Miljan discuss the tangled web of crimes. Ana categorizes them into three: the poisonings, Blas, Kegi Haza, and the engineers, Kegi Haza's secret dealings with Blas and Oypat, and the murders of Subarek and Aristan, believing the last was committed by a hidden enforcer of the Hazas. Ana tests Din's abilities, confirming his unique knack for muscle memory. Unlike typical engravers, he can replicate complex movements after experiencing them once, hinting at advanced combat potential. Miljan warns, however, that it won't be enough to defeat the rumored assassin, an enhanced soldier called a Twitch. Ana pieces together the mystery, realizing that Yolgalgan likely had an accomplice, a crackler from Oypat who lifted the sluice gate to let her into the Haza estate. Determined to identify them, she scours a list of augmented soldiers. Meanwhile, Miljan teaches Din combat tricks, but warns that true survival will require more than skill. In Chapter 33, Din, Miljan, and an Apoth Contagion crew head east to find Drollus Ditalus, the Oypati crackler, suspected of aiding Yolgalgan. At a Legion outpost, they learn Ditalus has been frequently absent and was last seen returning from the west, near the ruins of an old fortress. Riding into the dangerous contagion-ridden plains, they track Ditalus by fresh bloodstains. When they find him, he is badly injured and delirious, muttering about going home to Oypat. Suddenly, Dappleglass erupts from his body, killing him in a gruesome display. They follow his trail to the ruined fortress, where they discover Yolgalgan's body inside a makeshift laboratory, entangled in Dappleglass. Evidence suggests she died in an accident while brewing her poison. Kitlin confirms her identity and that she had been preparing to flee. Though the case seems closed, Miljan is unsettled. Her death, so close to their pursuit, feels too convenient. Part 5, The Shadow of the Leviathan. In Chapter 34, Din, Ana, and Miljan debrief Commander Prefectovashta on the case. Yolgalgan, their primary suspect, is dead, and her Dappleglass lab has been destroyed, but uncertainties remain. Ana questions why Yolgalgan killed Kegi Haza, and how she poisoned the 10 engineers. She also suspects a third collaborator, someone who helped her infiltrate the Haza's halls and possibly sabotaged her lab. Vashta acknowledges their work, but refuses to act against the Hazas due to their influence and the looming Leviathan threat. She grants Ana a week to investigate further, but warns that circumstances may not allow it. Ana orders Din to attend the Banquet of Blessings, a rare religious ceremony before battle, meant to boost morale as the Legion prepares to fire the Titan killer bombard. She believes the case is far from over, with the third, mentioned by Fayazi Haza, possibly tied to the remaining mysteries. In Chapter 35, Din attends the Banquet of Blessings, a solemn Legion ritual before battle. Clerics from various imperial cults bless the soldiers preparing to fire the Titan killer bombard. Commander Prefectovashta acknowledges Din's role in solving the poisonings, though he remains dissatisfied with the unresolved mysteries. During the banquet, Din speaks with Immunis Uhad, who is retiring to the Empire's first ring. Uhad acknowledges the injustice left unresolved, but advises Din to accept it. Vashta parades Din around, introducing him to high-ranking officers who praise him as a hero. Later, Din meets Captain Strovi, who is marked for the bombard crew. They share a quiet moment, and Din invites Strovi to his chambers to wash off the ritual paints. Before they can leave, Legion officers summon Din urgently to the Apoth Tower. Ana is already there, and Immunis Nusis has been found injured, possibly dead, under mysterious circumstances. In Chapter 36, Din rushes to the Apoth Tower, where he finds Immunis Nusis dead, slumped over her desk with a small puncture wound behind her ear, likely the work of the Haza's Twitch. Ana examines the scene and orders Apoth trackers to inspect the safe. They detect blood and alcohol, revealing it was cleaned after the murder. When they open it, the reagent's key inside is a fake. The real key had already been stolen. Ana deduces that someone else took the key before the Twitch arrived, realizing it wasn't a reagent's key, but something far more valuable. She urgently requests a meeting with Commander Prefectovashta, warning that Fayazi Haza is in danger. Ana then reveals to Din that she now knows who the third poisoner is, how the 10 engineers died, and what the stolen key truly was. She orders him to be armed for the meeting, hinting that everything will be revealed soon. In Chapter 37, Ana gathers key figures: Commander Prefecto Vashta, Fayazi Haza, her sublimes, and Captain Miljan for an interrogation. She methodically unveils the truth. Jolgalgan had prior access to the Haza estate due to Kegi Haza's patronage and used Dappleglass to poison him. The poison later spread when the engineers unknowingly drank from Kegi's tainted ewer at a secret gathering, leading to their deaths and ultimately the breach. Ana then exposes a larger conspiracy. Kegi Haza and Commander Blas had orchestrated the suppression of a cure for Dappleglass to protect the Haza's landholdings, increasing their wealth. The stolen sample, disguised as a reagent's key, was central to their cover-up. She finally accuses Fayazi's axiom of being the Haza's hidden assassin, the Twitch responsible for multiple murders. As Miljan and the Legion move to arrest her, toxin bells ring, warning of the Leviathan's arrival. The Twitch makes her move. In Chapter 38, the Twitch assassin strikes, killing 3 legionnaires in an instant before escaping through a window. Ana deduces she has climbed the tower to retrieve the reagent's key, but she has fallen into a trap. Ana had laced her room with Dappleglass, knowing the Twitch would come for it. Moments later, the Twitch staggers back down the stairs, bleeding from her eyes and mouth, infected and weakened. Despite her failing state, she launches a final attack on Ana, but Dinios intercepts her, using a defensive technique Miljan taught him. He wounds her severely, stabbing through her shoulder and striking her head, causing her eye to burst. As she collapses, Dappleglass erupts from her body, consuming her in a deadly bloom. With the city in chaos, Vashta orders an evacuation. Miljan takes Fayazi Haza into custody, while Dinios and Ana are sent to escape with the cart train as a Titan makes landfall. In Chapter 39, chaos engulfs the city as the evacuation turns into an unmanageable disaster. The streets are packed with people, carts, and livestock, all trying to escape before another breach occurs. Ana, instead of leaving, insists on witnessing the battle against the Leviathan, convincing Dinios to join her. They climb to the eastern ramparts, where Dinios uses a spyglass to observe the sea walls. The Leviathan has not yet arrived, and as they wait, Dinios confesses he cheated on his Iudex exams. Ana, to his surprise, already knew and had chosen him for his resourcefulness. She then hints at a hidden assignment, revealing she was specifically placed in Taligra. The Leviathan finally appears, a colossal, grotesque being that defies comprehension. The city's artillery opens fire, culminating in the Titan killer bombard. A massive explosion follows, and as the dust clears, the beast lies slain. Blue flares rise in the sky, signaling victory. The Empire survives. In Chapter 40, the city struggles to recover from the chaos of the evacuation, with officers working to restore order. Dinios is summoned to a meeting with Vashta, Ana, and Uhad, where he learns that the Haza family's holdings are being seized, and Fayazi may replace her elder relatives due to her cooperation. The Emperor's Sanctum is considering revoking privileges from the gentry, and an Eudexi consulat is being sent to investigate. Vashta declares Dinios' apprenticeship over, officially making him assistant investigator. However, Ana then reveals she has known the identity of the third poisoner since Nusis' murder, Tuwe Uhad. She lays out how he collaborated with Jolgalgan and Ditilus, manipulated the investigation, and killed Nusis to obtain the Dappleglass cure before retiring to the First Ring to target the Elder Hazas. Uhad confesses his motivations, believing the Empire was failing. Enraged, Ana orders Dinios to arrest him, ensuring justice is finally served. In Chapter 41, the city gathers at the Trifecta for a symbolic funeral pyre honoring the fallen officers from all 4 eolets. As the fire burns, Dinios reflects on the recent suffering, standing alongside Captain Miljan, who struggles with guilt over Nusis' murder happening under his watch. Miljan, deciding to return to the Legion, gives Dinios his sword, stating that it will be more useful in his hands. Dinios then reunites with Captain Cepheus Strovi, who is recovering from an injury sustained when the Titan killer was fired. They walk through the city, discussing the differences between the Legion and the Eudexi, how in the Legion, victories and defeats are clear, but in the Eudexi, justice is never fully restored. Before parting, Strovi gifts Dinios a package of pipes, recalling their shared moment. As their time together in Taligra nears its end, they share a quiet, tender moment before returning to the city. In Chapter 42, Dinios and Ana leave Taligra by carriage, watching the city and its towering sea walls disappear into the mist. As they travel, Ana asks Dinios to define the Empire, leading to a discussion about its frailty, complexity, and need for constant maintenance. Ana reveals she was never truly exiled to Daretana. Her posting was a cover for an investigation into the Zas, orchestrated by a consulate. She is now en route to meet this consulate before receiving her next assignment. She also offers Dinios a choice. He can return to Daretana or continue working as her assistant investigator. As he considers his future, he gifts her a set of hallucinogenic mood graphs, a rare indulgence she's long sought. Ana's delighted, seeing it as a good omen. With his sword beside him and the road ahead uncertain, Dinios begins to doze, contemplating the path that lies before him.